What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we're going to be covering DCeased, War of the Undead Gods, issue number 1. Tom Taylor is finally giving us our conclusion. This limited series is going to be the final chapter. When Tom Taylor had first gave us DCeased, we saw the world ravaged. We saw so many heroes fall. It got to the point where our heroes, they had to evacuate to Earth 2, returning 5 years later. They try to save who they can after they have a cure, but we were left on a very major cliffhanger. We saw Darkseid going to New Genesis, Darkseid as an undead zombie, and we can only assume by the title that the new gods fell to Darkseid. And so while the heroes of Earth might think that they are safe for the day, while they may think that they found a cure and they have saved everybody, the true war is right on the horizon. Now, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so we are getting into this issue number 1 of DCeased. I for one am super excited because we were left on such a huge cliffhanger. Darkseid arriving at New Genesis, right when they think that the anti-life is no longer a threat. And this story is going to start us off on Krypton. We are seeing when Supergirl is sent away, but in this universe, things happen just a little bit differently. While under invasion from Brainiac, this is when Kara was sent into the stars. Unlike Kal-El, they sent her to a different world. They sent her to New Genesis to live among the gods. Traveling for many years, her ship goes through space, hoping that she would be able to truly thrive on this planet among all of these gods. Upon arriving, she quickly learns that this place is a hellish land because Darkseid, undead Darkseid, has already been here, and he infected every single one of the new gods. As our undead gods go after Supergirl, caught completely off guard, she stood absolutely no chance. As they grab hold of her and pull her down to the ground, she fights with every ounce of Kryptonian energy she has. But at the end of the day, it is just not enough. And that's when we hop over to present day. It has been over 5 years since the anti-life equation had ravaged this planet. So many people had been lost. Friends, families, heroes, villains. But that is when the cure had come. Heroes that they thought were long gone. Heroes like Oliver Queen. Other heroes were not so lucky. Now that this world has been saved, it was time to go save the greatest hero of all. Superman has been sitting up in the sun, anti-life virus in his body. He has been charging up for over 5 years, absorbing all of that solar radiation. Now that they have the cure, Jonathan, Damian, and Cassie, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, they know what needs to be done. They need to go cure the undead Man of Steel. And so gathering all of the heroes that are going to be capable to do this job, having the cure in hand, Jonathan not even being sure if he is able to make it to the core of the sun. But this is where he's going to find out. Charging in at full speed, even moving at the speeds that he is. This is Superman who has been in the sun. Though he may be a zombie, the anti-life virus detects Jonathan coming in. This is a Superman that is faster, that is stronger than anyone could ever imagine. Our Green Canary trying to trap him inside of a bubble, breaking out of it in a matter of seconds. All of our heroes grab hold of him, from Mary Marvel to Cyborg. If he wasn't missing an arm, they might not be able to do this at all. And that's what'll take us over to Earth 2, 2 days later, having Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner. They're coming down to meet with President Lane. Jon Stewart wanting to go out and investigate 2 inhabited planets closest to theirs. They have gone quiet. Jon Stewart not really sure what this threat may be, not even sure if it's a threat at all. Before he gets the opportunity to go investigate, we have a boom tube open up, and from there, we have the return of Clark Kent. Now cured of the anti-life virus and having a brand new arm, the beacon of hope has returned. As Superman enjoys his reunion with his family, our Batman has to go to Alfred and let him know that they found a cure, that they were able to bring people back, that they were able to save the Earth. or at least of what remained of it. The only problem, Alfred had to kill Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, and Bruce Wayne, now knowing that they could have been saved, knowing that he pulled the trigger and he killed 3 of his sons. This is a burden that is almost too heavy for him to bear. And so while he copes with this information, we pick up the next day and we have Brainiac's probes that are approaching Earth 2. Before Jessica Cruz can even let anybody know, our Supermen are up in the sky, making their way into space and taking all of these probes out before anybody can blink. And while all of these probes, they might be destroyed, they know that Brainiac will be soon behind. Arriving hours later, from the outside, it looks like Brainiac's ship has been severely damaged. Noticing that there is something off and something wrong about this, our 2 Supermen, they head inside, but as they get in here and they look around, they see that Brainiac is no longer a threat, missing most of his body, being suspended up in the air. He is letting Superman know that they need to stop them, that the gods are dead, but they are still coming, going across the universe spreading their poison. These dead gods will end everything. Alright gang, so our story starts us off with Big Barda. Her and Miracle Man, they are currently making their way back to New Genesis. See, Big Barda, she was the first to be cured of the anti-life virus. Someone who lost so much time. It has been 5 years since she saw her son. And while she is a little bit concerned that her son is going to be angry with her, the truth is, she was more or less dead for the last 5 years. But when the 2 gods stepped through the boom tube, ready to greet their son in paradise, what they found was the home of the new gods was no longer a paradise. The celestial city had fallen. Left behind in all of the wreckage was one portal, a dark portal. Not really sure where it leads. Big Barda is more than willing to step through if her son is on the other side. This could have very easily been the end of Big Barda. That is, of course, until death. Until the Black Racer shows up on scene. As the Black Racer grabs hold of her, stops her from going through the portal, Miracle Man asks the Black Racer what the heck happened here and what is that portal. He lets them know that this was Darkseid. And though they believe Darkseid to be dead, he lets them know that this was the unliving Darkseid. And all the gods that were not killed, they are now agents of the anti-life virus. The mother boxes have all been infected, and so now the dead and the unliving, they can pass through doom tubes. The only question now, where do these doom tubes land? Where is the unliving Darkseid? And that is what takes us to the first planet that Darkseid and his undead gods attack. Home to 7 billion people, Koryugar is in flames. While they had highly trained soldiers, some very advanced weaponry, they were simply no match in the eyes of these deities. Controlled by the anti-life, their fate is inevitable, but they were able to get out a distress beacon, one that is heard across the entire sector of space. This is when it reaches War World, and at the very heart of it, we have our Yellow Lantern, Sinestro. As they hear the call for help, they can hear the fear in their voices. The Yellow Lantern Corps, they prepare for their attack, refusing to let his planet die. Sinestro gathers his forces, and they go to face off against Darkseid. That is what takes us to Earth 2. We have Superman, who is currently having a conversation with Guy Gardner. This conversation is about Brainiac, because Brainiac has found his way to Earth 2, has found his way to Superman. Brainiac just recently had an encounter with Darkseid, barely able to escape with his life, losing half of his freaking body in the encounter. As a show of good faith, he gives the city of Kandor to Superman, the last city of Krypton, because the truth is, while Brainiac may be a supervillain, At the end of the day, his job is to collect knowledge. If Darkseid and his undead army, if they wipe out the whole galaxy, that means everything stops. There is no more knowledge. There is nothing more for Brainiac to collect. This would mean the end of everything. And while Guy Gardner is very skeptical on the universe itself ending, Brainiac does point out that he is a 9th level intelligence, an intelligence scale that Brainiac himself has created. Guy Gardner, kind of feeling his ego threatened here, talks about how he is an 11 on his own scale that only goes up to 6. But Superman knows, better than anybody, just how devastating and how deadly the anti-life can be. He was gone for 5 years. He knows they are facing the end of all life. And if it means stopping this anti-life virus, then teaming up with Brainiac is exactly what he is going to do. Not only that, they are going to reach out to every single ally that is left in the universe. They are going to join forces with anybody willing to fight by their side. Because Superman, he plans on fighting back. That is what takes us to Sinestro. Having Warworld traveling behind him, the Yellow Lantern Corps ready to lay down some hate. On his command, they target every unliving god on the planet, and they release the full force of their might. The only problem, this blast never actually hits the planet's surface. Sinestro wasn't the only one to hear this distress call. That's where we see a giant green shield. This shield brought up to protect the planet from Sinestro and his assault. The shield being generated by Sinestro's own daughter and Kyle Rayner. And while she asks Sinestro, "What are you doing?" he lets her know that is not what it seems. We are not in fact attacking the planet. We are wiping out the anti-life virus. But while they try to figure this out, while they argue amongst themselves, that is when the Kryptonian arrives. The unliving Supergirl, carrying a mother box in her hand that is corrupted with the anti-life virus, knocking Kyle Rayner directly out of the way. She has no intention of killing or turning him. She has her goal set on one location. That, of course, is Warworld. Because with the techno-organic virus attached to it, it begins to infect it. The largest, most destructive computer in the whole galaxy. The anti-life virus now has control of Warworld. And it immediately starts attacking the entirety of the Yellow Lantern Corps. Sinestro trying to warn the Green Lanterns that Darkseid is coming. This is when we see Darkseid making his way to the battlefield. Sinestro letting it be known that they cannot hold back, that they have to destroy Darkseid right here, right now. The unliving Darkseid, he unleashes his Omega Beams. The Omega Beams versus the fear and willpower of father and daughter. But this equilibrium had been broken because Supergirl, she flies in and she breaks the connection between Omega Beam and the rings. With this break, this is where we see Darkseid holding on to Sinestro, telling his daughter to run, to live. With tears in her eyes, she watches as Darkseid takes the head of Sinestro and rips it from his body. Kyle Rayner recognizing that they have to leave and they need to do it now. He grabs hold of her and they take off across the galaxy. And with Sinestro now being dead, his ring falls from his hand. It goes seeking for a replacement, but it doesn't have to look far, because a being with the ability to instill great fear just decapitated Sinestro. Grabbing hold of the ring, we see the unliving Darkseid become a Yellow Lantern. Alright guys, so this issue is starting us 2 months ago. We are picking up with the war between Thanagar and the planet Rann. It is a full-scale invasion, but we know that planet Rann, it has its own defender. The man from Earth, the one we all know as Adam Strange. Fighting for his family, fighting for his adopted world, telling his wife and son that they need to move, because this war is far from over. While preparing to get his wife and son out of harm's way, this is when the Zeta Beam takes him up, slowly beginning to disappear, telling his wife that he will return, that he will find them again. And that is what lands him in Gotham City, getting the coordinates for where the Zeta Beam will be next. He takes to the air. Up in the sky, this is where he sees Wonder Woman. Unbeknownst to him, unaware of what has happened to the world, he calls out to her, arriving 1 month before there is a cure. By the time he recognizes what Wonder Woman actually is, it is already too late. We see Wonder Woman take her fist and drive it through the chest of Adam Strange. That is what takes us to 2 weeks later. As we pick back up on Rand, the Thanagarians have taken over everything. And though Adam Strange's wife and son believe that they are about to be saved, as the gunfire goes off, we see Adam Strange standing before us. But the man that was once in there, he is now gone. He has been corrupted, with him returning to his family. The anti-life has spread across the galaxy, across the universe. And that is what will take us 2 days later in the Rylex system, as a man comes in looking for anybody that might be willing to fight, looking for great warriors for the war that is yet to come. That is when a man at the bar, he does ask, how much are you paying? Letting this guy know that you're probably not what we are looking for. This is when we see that it is the main man. It is Lobo himself. But before he can even rip this guy's head off, before he can really start laying into him, the warships appear overhead. The warriors of Thanagar are coming down upon them. And usually Lobo isn't one to really care about things in this manner. But the Thanagarians, they just killed the bartender. And so it is time for Lobo to start cracking some skulls. As one of these soldiers grabs hold of Lobo, they try to rip him across the chest. Being successful in doing so, we see that Lobo does not turn, but he does take the soldier's head and he twists it 360, pulling it right off of his body, grabbing some explosives off of this soldier, absolutely irritated that someone just killed his bartender. As the swarm of Thanagarian soldiers descend on top of him, he takes to the sky. And without breaking a sweat, he takes down this warship. As Lobo steps out of the flames, he sees the recruiter who had come looking for great warriors. And while Lobo, he may very well be one of the greatest warriors there are, he doesn't do anything for free. That is when we hop over to Themyscira. They are currently having a funeral for Diana. As everybody says their goodbyes, Artemis and Oliver Queen lighting their arrows, shooting them off to the wooden ship, we watch as it burns. This is when we see an unexpected guest. While many gods were invited to this funeral, there was one god that was not invited that has shown up. That, of course, is the god of war. That is Ares. Obviously, not wanting to invite the god of war to a peaceful endeavor, he has not come to ruin anyone's day. He is here to show them, taking them to the Hall of the Gods, telling Oliver Queen that he needs to take the bow that is sitting on the mantle nearby, the golden bow of Apollo. Immediately when Oliver Queen picks up the bow, he says that he would like to make some tweaks to it, saying that it feels top heavy, with Ares almost being insulted. This is the bow that took down the Leviathan lion, but he tells Oliver, go ahead, make your tweaks to the bow. Then he goes on to let everybody know that there is a war coming, and everybody's a little bit confused because they just had their war. A war where billions had died. The problem is, Ares says that that wasn't a war. That was a massacre. That was a slaughter. There was no struggle, there was only defeat. But now a war is truly coming, the final war, saying that it will be glorious, but it will ultimately be futile. He will stand and watch as a pariah. The universe will all die. And when the heroes ask, why are you so certain of our failure? He tells them that this has all happened before, having a record from a universe that suffered almost the same exact fate as this one. This is when the call goes out to our Green Lanterns. The war is beginning. Every single person carrying a Green Lantern ring, they are being called back to Oa. Everybody is regrouping because the anti-life virus, it is spreading across the stars. This is when Oliver Queen, he recognizes that can't be the threat because we have found a cure. we can easily take out the anti-life equation without any real problem. But the God of War lets them know that you're not fighting an equation, no matter what Darkseid might have told you. In comparison to the old gods, Darkseid is nothing more than a child. There is something much larger, having no idea what he was playing at when he merged with the anti-life with death. What he has unleashed, it has turned his gaze upon them. That this is older than numbers, older than equations, older than the gods themselves. Because Erebus is coming for them. The god of the dead is going to destroy the universe. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 4, we are picking up at a very sad memory. The day that Alfred had to shoot his sons. This is a memory that haunts Alfred every single night of his life. Reliving the nightmare. Reliving the days that he had to kill his own children. A nightmare that he would never be able to escape. Being shaken awake, this is where we see Leslie, a relationship that Alfred has found in all the chaos. And she is letting Alfred know that he has always been angry, that the grief he carries around, it is a heavy burden that is weighing on him, that he must find a way to forgive himself. If he does not, this anger will consume him. This is when Leslie lets Alfred know that you are the man that raised Batman. Have you honestly convinced yourself that Bruce got none of that anger from you? That rage that is inside of you that has been building up for all these years. Add on top the fact that you had to kill your own children. That Batman's crusade of vengeance, this was not only his, but it was also Alfred's. This is when they get a knock at the door. That knock coming from Damian Wayne. Damian not expecting to find Leslie here. This is him learning for the first time that Alfred, he has a girlfriend. That they are living together and that they have been happy for quite some time. And with Damian letting them both know that he is extremely happy for them. He has come to say goodbye. Everybody is meeting the Guardians on Oa. They are planning their final fight. This is when Alfred asks Damian not to go, saying that he knows this is not fair to ask. But at this point, he has already lost too many sons. He wants them to stay here on Earth 2, where it is safe. Asking Damian, you think that you can single-handedly take on the undead gods? And while Damian's not sure, he does believe that he is going to try. This is when Alfred sees his father in him. But if he is not able to convince him to stay, Alfred does have another request. That request is to go with them, to stand by his side as they take on the gods. When Damian asks the question of how would that even be possible, Alfred lets us know that he could take a weapon, a ring, some kind of power. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to sit on the sidelines any longer. And he lets Alfred know that he has never sat on the sidelines. That the Wayne family, the Batman mantle, it would have never gotten where it is without Alfred. Now, he doesn't do anything for Alfred, but we can only assume that we're going to see Alfred in the future. With all the bat suits that there are out there, there is a very high possibility that Alfred goes ahead, he takes one of the bat suits, and he goes to save Damian. But this is when Superman, Jonathan Kent, the Green Lanterns, they all take off and they head towards Oa. That is what takes us to Almarak. They are in the midst of an invasion. With Maxima and Prima, the two warriors are battling the army of the undead. Knowing that Darkseid and the new gods were headed for them, the two warrior women held them off for as long as they could, with Maxima being almost as strong as Superman, having none of his mortality. She is a warrior through and through. Nothing will stop her. Nothing will get in her way. But when those Omega beams cut through the love of her life, this threw her off of her game, bred to be one of the most formidable fighters in Worlds of Warriors. But despite all of her great strength, her will, and her fury, that day she became just another tool in the anti-life equation. That is what takes us to Oa. The Guardians concerned that if they do not stop the spread, it will be too late. That it will be beyond containment, and the universe would have fallen. At this point, 12 planets have already been destroyed. Over 100 billion lives. The anti-life equation seems to be targeting worlds that may be an asset to them moving forward, to the anti-life being able to take over much more. Because of this, the Guardians are sanctioning lethal force. The infected worlds have to be wiped out. This is when Superman steps up, letting them know that they have a cure, that we can help all of these people. This is when the Guardians, they let him know, while they respect his opinion, that his compassion is misplaced, that the spread has to be stopped. The threat posed by engaging with the anti-life is just far too great. Superman lets it be known that he will not allow this. He will not allow the destruction of entire worlds. This is when the tensions begin to rise. The Green Lantern standing on the side of the Guardians. Superman and his friends ready to stop the Guardians. Kyle Rayner coming up trying to ease the tension, not willing to risk someone as powerful as the Kryptonians being captured by the anti-life equation. This is when the Guardians let Kal-El know that he will be detained on Oa, encapsulating him inside of a bubble. It doesn't take long for Superman to punch through it, with the Guardian getting knocked down to his butt. The Green Lanterns attack. They go in on Superman, and with that, this fight is fully underway. Our heroes battling the entirety of what remains of the Green Lantern Corps. This is when Damian recognizes that something is wrong, something is off. People's judgment is clouded. Emotional response has been heightened. He knows they are not in control of this situation. The God of War, Ares, he is manipulating all of them, though he says that he only gave them a tiny little nudge. Damian lets him know that he has to stop. This is when from behind them we hear a voice. The fifth dimensional imp, Mr. Mxyzptlk, is here. He has come in to let Ares know he needs to listen to Batman because he refuses to let anything hurt Superman. Gang, so as we dive into this issue on Earth 2, what we have is a boom tube opening up, and coming out of it is death, with Barda and Scott alongside them. The only thing that they can say to Firestorm and Lois is that they have our son. Where is everybody? Where is Superman? And we know where they are. They are all on Oa. Right now, Mxyzptlk and Ares, they are standing toe-to-toe. A reality-altering being facing a god of war. Simply too much confidence in too close proximity. Neither of them willing to blink. Even the Guardians are afraid to step between the two powers. But Jonathan and Superman, the two of them, they waste no time. They know what could happen, saying that they can't fight amongst each other. If Mxyzptlk and Ares fight one another, that would be absolute devastation for everybody. This all started because the Guardians decided to just wipe away all those infected. Now, mind you, they have a cure for this zombie infection, but they wanted to use the Green Lantern Corps to go out and exterminate anybody that has already been infected, to wipe it away in one fell swoop. Superman letting it be known that they have a cure, and no one is going to stand in their way. No one is going to stop them from helping these planets. This is when it is revealed that this virus is not just an equation, that everything they know is currently wrong. Darkseid has allowed something to leach into this universe, something called Erebus. The Guardians, knowing this name, they thought that they had been dealing with a virus this whole time. But if Erebus is at the heart of this changes everything. Saying that the core cannot be used to wipe away infected planets. All Green Lanterns are called back to guard Oa, to protect the central battery at all costs. With our Batman saying that they would like to see all planets that are currently infected, to see the front lines. The thing is, the front lines are everywhere. The New Gods and other spacefaring individuals, they have spread this virus across the galaxy. Seeing a planet that appears to be on fire, that is where Darkseid and a large portion of the Undead Armada are currently striking. Kilowog knows this planet. He knows it because it is his. And even though he was just given orders by the Guardians to stay here, Kilowog leaps into space. And while the Guardians say to leave him, John Stewart and some of the other Lanterns, this is something that they obviously don't want to do and say that they can't do. But the Guardians are more concerned with calling a meeting of the Quintessence. Because of Erebus, because of his involvement, the Guardians need to consult and have the Council of the Quintessence. Guy Gardner doing his usual thing, saying, cool, like you guys go decide by council if you're gonna help save everything, we're actually gonna be fighting on the front lines. And while the Guardians try to tell the Lanterns that your duty is here, Mxyzptlk says that him and Superman will go handle Darkseid. Ares, the god of war, finding it quite a bit laughable that Mxyzptlk thinks he can take on Darkseid. Mxyzptlk saying that he's probably just going to turn Darkseid into some kind of flower arrangement. And so Superman and Mxyzptlk, they are on the heels of Kilowog. They are headed directly to the infected planet, the one currently at war. 16 billion minds all connected to one communal mind. As Kilowog approaches, his mind rejoins with those of his people, and all he can feel is fear. 6 billion minds connected together, and they all feel alone. But lucky for Kilowog, he is not alone. This is where we see the likes of John Stewart, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner. They have all come to help. Not caring what the Guardians have to say, they got lots of rules and way less loyalty. But Kilowog was the teacher for many Green Lanterns. There is no way that they are going to leave him to this fight. And so the Lanterns jump into action. The Man of Steel on the battlefield, they are all rescuing as many people as possible. But this is when the undead Kryptonian arrives. Supergirl comes in and she puts a smackdown on Superman, as Supergirl uses her heat vision and burns the innocents alive. Superman gets up to try and stop them, only to be hit with some yellow Omega beams. This, of course, coming from our Yellow Lantern Darkseid. That is where our 5th dimensional imp comes into play. Strolling up to Darkseid like this is no big deal. Messing around with him, asking what he should be turned into. Maybe turning him into a persuasive essay, maybe turning him into a houseplant. All Mxyzptlk had to do was think it, and Darkseid would have been undone. The problem is, Mxyzptlk and his own arrogance. He didn't have time to think. He was being cocky, going off about what he should do. All Darkseid did was lift up a box. That corrupted mother box being shown to him. Almost instantaneously, we see Mr. Mxyzptlk taken over. The 5th dimensional imp many have seen for a joke for so many years. He has now become the greatest threat in the anti-life equations army. The Green Lanterns, they waste no time going on Mr. Mxyzptlk. They do their best to try and hold him off. Mxyzptlk grabbing hold of Kilowog and John Stewart. They create a bubble around them, trying to protect themselves. As other Lanterns try to break free Mxyzptlk's hand, he is slowly trying to crush the Green Lanterns. No one able to stop what is about to happen. We see John Stewart and Kilowog. They are squished between Mxyzptlk's hand. Nothing but a little red blood spurt comes out. Mxyzptlk has been unleashed, and we see Kilowog's home planet absolutely decimated. Dragging comets and asteroids, the 5th dimensional imp, he speeds through space. He has one destination in mind. He is headed to Oa. When he reaches that destination, when he reaches the central battery of Oa, he does not stop. He busts right through the planet. The central battery shattered. Everywhere, every Green Lantern is severed from their power, exposing them to gravity and the vacuum of space. As the entirety of the Green Lantern Corps goes to all die at the same time. This is where we see the Quintessence, the highest order of beings in the entire universe. They bear witness to all that has happened. They watch without interference. Hera being the one to say that they are about to lose this universe. Spectre cannot stand idly by and watch all of this happen. Hera truly believes that this cannot be stopped in the Quintessence, that they should be focusing all of their energy on the next universe. But right now, the Quintessence is disappearing. The wizard Shazam is dead. Highfather is a slave to the anti-life equation. Stranger was almost destroyed by Trigon fighting this. And then to add all of this together, the central battery has been destroyed. Our Guardian has felt it. The Spectre unwilling to stop, unwilling to allow this to go on. He refuses to let this universe die without a fight. As our Green Lanterns prepare for their ultimate death, they find their powers have returned. The power of the Green Lantern Corps is back, and that is all because the Spectre has restored what was broken. We see the Spectre holding the central battery, Mxyzptlk seeing vengeance, seeing the spirit. It is now wrath versus chaos. Alright gang, so as we pick up with this story, we are picking up with Lobo. And Lobo is being propositioned to save the universe. And Lobo, being the man that he is, he asks what the price is. How much are you going to pay me so that I can save everybody for you? With him giving a small hint on what he actually wants. And what Lobo wants is women. He wants all of his personal gratifications fulfilled, letting Lobo know that their greatest minds, with their vast intellect, they will all come together. They will create all kinds of scenarios, nothing being too deprived. They will give him anything and everything that he wants. With Lobo agreeing to these terms, he goes to hunt the dead. And that is what takes us to the devastation of Kilowog's planet. Nothing more than crumble out in space, as Clark and Kyle both look upon the destruction. Clark can feel this just as much as Kyle. Clark had heard every scream, every plea for help. 16 billion lives calling out, and then silenced in an instant. An entire world of people lost. After the planet's annihilation, the Man of Steel was full of anger. The focus of his rage was Darkseid. Out here in space, Darkseid and Superman, they lock eyes. But Superman knows that this is not a fight that he can focus on. That Darkseid's day will come. But right now, there is something much bigger happening. The fight between the Spectre and Mr. Mxyzptlk. The greatest threat to the entire universe. Mxyzptlk taken over by the undead. The ferocity of their battle tore the fabric of reality around them completely apart. Black holes were being punched into space. Planets, stars, everything sucked into oblivion. And while many of the Green Lantern Corps, they do what they can to help out the Spectre, in the grand scheme of things, on a battle of this scale, the Lantern Corps are nothing more than gnats, as we see dozens of them just completely annihilated by Mxyzptlk just closing his hand. As our heroes do everything they can to fight off against the reality warping imp, we are taken over to Earth 2. We have Jonathan, Damian, aka Batman, all of these individuals working for their next plan. Because they have a cure for the undead. They can bring them back. Jonathan wants to get back to Earth and find a way to mass produce this cure. To do it on a universal scale. But while our heroes discuss this, they see that Miracle Man, he has a mother box. Brainiac seeing this, telling him that they are linked. Not only are they linked, but they are infected. Which means the undead will be connected to them. The undead will know where to find them. As they look up to the sky, they see the new gods. Highfather and all of the others, all undead, all descending down on top of them. With Jonathan telling Damian and his mother to get everybody out of here. That they are going to hold off this wave of death for as long as they can. And so our heroes take off into the sky. They battle the undead forces. They do everything they can to allow the civilians to escape. But every route of escape, they get cut off. One by one, we see people falling. One of these people just happens to be Leslie. Leslie Tompkins. This is the love of Alfred's life. In all of this chaos and all of the disaster, Alfred had finally found someone for himself. But this love was very short-lived, with her being taken out by the undead. We see her slow transformation, with Alfred saying that he will be back, that he is going to save her, he is going to have a cure, with Alfred being completely helpless, unable to do anything for the woman that he loves. They watch as she turns. This is what takes us to our 5th dimensional imp and the Spectre. The truth is, nothing they do this day is going to matter if the Spectre falls. That is where Superman comes in. Superman flying as fast as he can. He hits the imp in the face. This is nothing more than a momentary distraction, but it gives Spectre the opening. It gives him the opportunity to strike a fatal blow, with the Spectre driving his sword right through the imp. This battle looks like it may be over, but with Mixoplex's dying breath, the dying imp, he went into the Spectre, reaching into him and tearing the host from the wrath, pulling Jim out into space, having nothing but mere moments to say goodbye to Superman. He tells Superman that the universe is a miracle, do not let it fall. Superman holding on to the hand of Jim as he dies. The wrath of the presence was now untethered and he drifted away. But the day had been won, at least against the imp, taking us back to Earth 2. Alfred having tears coming down his eyes, watching Leslie turn into this monster. The anti-life equation taking her over. When Oliver looks up to the sky, what he sees is Highfather. Highfather comes crashing down, the unliving father of the new gods. This is where Batman Damian Wayne tells everybody to get out of here, that he is going to keep Highfather busy. And while Damian Wayne may be a remarkable young man, he has faced impossible odds time and time again. At the end of the day, he is nothing but a mortal. The sound of the god's fist on his face, they say, was sickening. As Alfred watches Batman fall, he steps between Batman and Highfather, not even recognizing that he moved. All he knows is that there was a scream that he had contained when a little boy lost his parents in an alleyway so long ago. A scream that he held in when the lives of 3 men he loved had died. A scream of defiance, a scream of grief, but mostly of fury. And in that moment, he heard the echo across the stars. His anger went across the cosmos. And then he felt a harmony of rage. With that scream coming out of Alfred, 2 became 1. And now Alfred, he is the spirit of vengeance. He is the man of rage. He has become the Spectre. And on this day, he refuses to lose another son. Walking up to Highfather, he punches right through Highfather's face. This is the day that Alfred ended a god. Alright gang, we are picking up with the battle for Earth 2. A battle that was extremely violent and chaotic. The arrival of Lobo made it even more so, as he enters the fray with an unimaginable ferocity. But we see Lobo come in here and he just absolutely decimates Light Ray. And down on the planet's surface, we have Big Barda and Mr. Miracle. They are carrying through with this attack without hesitation, without mercy. And there was only one attacker to give them pause, their son Jacob. Mr. Miracle had stopped in the midst of battle to see his son taken over by the anti-life equation, nothing more than a monster. And while he should have put him down, he should have stopped him right then and there, his hesitation led to his death. Because Mr. Miracle has his heart ripped out by his own son. That is what takes us over to the Spectre, aka Alfred Pennyworth. He just absolutely decimated the father of the new gods. After what had happened to Damian, Alfred couldn't hold back. Fully enraged, he destroyed him. And in the aftermath, we see that Damian didn't walk away from this. Alfred believed that he had saved his son. But we see that the anti-life equation begins to take over. That's when Cassie comes in. Going to the side of Damian, Damian apologizes. saying that he tried. But he looks to Alfred and he tells him that it's not too late. And he knows that Alfred is going to want to peel every one of them apart. He is going to want to tear them limb from freaking limb. That he will want to destroy everything. But right now, Alfred is the only one with the power to save all of them. This is where we see the anti-life equation really start to get to Damien. He starts to pull at his own face. And this makes Cassie only fight harder. And they are pretty sure that Erebus can feel this. That he can sense the shifting in the tides. This battle is turning for all of humankind. The anti-life equation is failing. It is losing this battle, and so it sends its reinforcements. That comes in the form of Darkseid, Yellow Lanterns, and the Kryptonian. What follows behind them is Warworld. Every part of Alfred wants to go fight, to punish, to decimate everything the anti-life has infected. But Damien's last words ring through his head. He tells Wonder Woman to keep them all at bay until he returns. But Cassie is concerned that they need him in this fight. Not sure where he is going or where he is flying off to. He says that there is somewhere that he has to be. With Spectre leaving this battle, we have John Kent, who goes directly for Darkseid. And at first, John is doing this fight on his own. That, of course, is until Brainiac comes in to join the attack. Perhaps the 9th level intelligence had calculated a chance, a possibility that the almighty Darkseid could be overcome by Brainiac working side by side with the most powerful son of his nemesis. But those calculations would be wrong. This is where we see Darkseid taking the box and shoving it into the brain of Brainiac. The box infected with the anti-life equation. This quickly takes him over and Brainiac heads directly towards his ship. The only one to recognize this is Cyborg. Now, Brainiac had destroyed hundreds of planets, but with each planet he ended, he abducted and shrank a city and its people. To preserve the knowledge of that world, this was his goal. And so Erebus had him return to his ship to spread death, to destroy all the stolen cities. And every city would have fallen if not for Cyborg. Cyborg comes in and he stops Brainiac. He lets it be known that all of these cities are under his protection, with Brainiac piercing into Cyborg. Just for a moment, the two living computers are connected. They are locked in a perfect stalemate. The fate of entire cultures resting in the balance. And Cyborg can feel Brainiac lurking, testing the firewalls. He tells him that this is a bad move, because he knows that he can't control him, that he can't infect him. But what Cyborg can do is infect Brainiac. He can control him, he can take his knowledge and his technology. And in a matter of moments, we see that Cyborg has melded together with Brainiac. They have become one. Victor Stone, the man who held himself responsible for the spread of the virus, who blamed himself for so much pain and death, saved hundreds of civilizations from genocide. And now Cyborg gaining all of Brainiac's knowledge. This gave him an idea. Getting to the planet's surface and finding Lois Lane. He wants to know where Kandor is. And back up in the stars, we have John, who is still fighting against Darkseid. To those looking on, it would look like John is running from him, that he is running away from this battle, telling everybody to keep fighting. But what John had seen that no one else could, or at least no one else was paying attention to, was a power growing in the heart of Warworld. An energy that has been building, a cannon that is targeting Earth 2. Warworld unleashed a blast heavy enough to bring down an entire planet, and the teenager of steel, he stood in the path. He pushed back an impossible power. He flew through the destructive force, deflecting it away, his clothes burning, his skin blistering. He took away the biggest gun that they had, and then he fell to Earth 2. But as one Kryptonian falls, we see an entire army of Kryptonians rise. 1,000 Kryptonians go to fight. Citizens of the bottle city of Kandor. restored by Cyborg when he reverse-engineered Brainiac's technology in a matter of moments. The Man of Steel there to catch his son as he goes falling to the surface. And so, as the Kryptonian army defends Earth 2, we have Spectre that is coming in. He had to speed away to gather what he could, to save Leslie, to save Damian, and so many others. Returning to see an army of Kryptonians turning the tide, he arrives with the Cure in tow. As quickly as he can, he gets that inside of Leslie and Damian. With them getting back up on their feet, today he saved the ones that he loved. They were able to bring them all back. Some they loved, others they hated. This is where we see our heroes pinning down Darkseid. Having trouble being able to pierce his skin, that's where we have Lobo coming in, saying that he has a technique for doing this. They hand Lobo the Cure and he goes and shoves it right down the throat of Darkseid. Darkseid biting down, he literally bites off the hand of Lobo. And it takes a few seconds, but we see that Darkseid is finally starting to come around. The Spectre being there to let him know what happened. That he had been taken, but he was brought back. That he had been used. Darkseid takes this for a moment, he takes this information in, posing the question that he was used as a pawn. Superman lets him know that he was. Now, there are many people that were there that day that advocated for the death of Darkseid. If it were not for the compassion of Clark Kent, Darkseid would have been taken out. But for the battle that lies ahead, they need him. And with Darkseid furious that someone used him as a weapon, they gained an unlikely and terrifying ally that day, with Darkseid letting it be known that his vengeance will be terrible. Alright gang, so our story is picking up on Earth 2. The Cure has been given to everybody. The Kryptonians that were stuck in that bottle for so very long, they were released. This gave the heroes of Earth 2 the opportunity to fight back. An army of Kryptonians at their back. They were able to give everybody the life equation. This almost instantly reverses their zombification. And while this is a very joyous occasion, there are also those that have fallen. On this day, they buried mortals beside gods. And Death himself was there to mourn Highfather. And with the Black Racer here, our Batman Damian Wayne has a question for him, because he has an idea on how to end all of this. He has been thinking of a way to bring this to the source. He wants to take this fight to Erebus, the primordial deity. He is the personification of darkness, and the only thing that can destroy the darkness is light. So he has come to Black Racer just to see if his plan might work. After the conversation, he heads over to Cyborg. After his conversation with Black Racer, he believes that the answer to all of their issues, to solving all of this, is inside the mind of Cyborg. With Damian telling him the plan, we pick up a little bit later and we have got all the villains, all the heroes in one spot. They believe that they can take the fight to this deity. The only problem is Erebus he exists outside of their universe. This means they're gonna have to travel through one of the doom tubes. To do this, they all have to be dead. Cyborg has been working on a workaround. He says that everything will be ready to go tomorrow. And they also believe that they have a weapon that will stop this deity from being able to escape. The idea is that they are gonna crack this deity open, and then they are gonna fly Warworld directly inside of it. To get this done, they are gonna have to attack on two different fronts. Darkseid saying that he will gladly face this deity. Guy Gardner making a joke. We see Guy Gardner hit with some Omega beams. And when the Supermen go to stop him, Guy Gardner says that he kinda had that coming. Poking fun at Darkseid was a level of stupid that even he should have been aware of. He fully acknowledges this and brushes it off. But Ares comes up to Darkseid and says that he doesn't understand the powers that are at play. That nobody can hold the attention of Erebus. Even Ares isn't dumb enough to face against a primordial deity. But the Black Racer steps in. He tells Ares that if you are to face this, you will not do it alone. That if you go to fight, death will follow war. And so, having him, Darkseid, and the Black Racer, Ares says that he will do this. This is where we see Batman and Wonder Woman having a conversation. Damian is asking Cassie to stay behind. There has to be a force to protect everything. And while the entire Green Lantern Corps is here, they have over 1,000 Kryptonians. Damian doesn't trust the Guardians, and these Kryptonians have been locked in a bottle until yesterday, with no powers and no fighting experience until they were released from that bottle. They are gonna need somebody to guide them, somebody to train them. There is nobody better to do this than Wonder Woman, and he's not trying to spare her from this fight. He is asking the greatest warrior to protect the entire universe. With their conversation coming to an end, we pick up with John and Damian. With everything going on, Damian just looking ragged as heck, John decided to bring him a gift. He brings him a new bat suit, but instead of all black, this suit is all white. They are facing a primordial deity tomorrow. He thought that the personification of darkness could face against the light night. And Damian says that this feels right, but no matter what happens tomorrow, they are going to win. That's what picks us up inside of Warworld. Cyborg operating everything. The plan here is to stop everybody's heart while they go through the Doom Tube. From Green Arrow to Darkseid, every hero will die for a moment. Every villain, every god. This will allow them to safely transport through the Doom Tube. When they get on the other side, we see them jolted back to life, with the Black Racer letting them know that they are here. They stand before Erebus, this Cthulhu-looking deity ready to fight. Ares and the Black Racer, they are the first to confront him, and so the old and the new gods, they bought them time. With Oliver Queen using the bow and quiver of Apollo, he pierces the darkness. And then our Kryptonians, our heroes, our Shazams, all of them hit with everything they have. The power of Shazam, the heat vision of 2 Kryptonians, the Omega beams of Darkseid, and Green Lantern's light. That's when Lobo comes in and he opens up this deity. This gives them the crack they need, and we see Warworld enter into this god. Inside of Warworld, we still have Cyborg and we have Batman. And when Cyborg goes to unleash the ultimate weapon, he finds that something is missing, almost as if it has been removed from him. His entire conversation with Damian is now missing. That's when he turns to Batman and asks what he has done. Batman goes on to say that Bruce was always a paranoid man. Cyborg was bonded with apocalyptic technology, so Batman didn't just hide a tracker in him. He had hacked into Cyborg years ago, and he left all that control with Damian. Damian had a theory that the anti-life virus leapt out of his mind. He needed the opposite, and he found it inside of Cyborg. He found the life equation. He extracted it, and then he erased it all from his systems. Now the life equation only exists in Damian. And while Cyborg tries to plead with him, he tries to let him know that you don't have to do this. But Damian tells him that you are the greatest technology of 2 worlds, his own brilliant mind and the calculating speed of Brainiac. To tell me if there is another way. Damian already knows the answer. There is no other way. It had to start with a life. It couldn't be any other way, and the Black Racer had confirmed this. As we see Damian begin to glow, it has already started. As soon as they entered the god, a chain reaction began. The heart of the anti-life equation and the life equation are about to collide. They have roughly 3 minutes to go. He tells Cyborg that they are gonna want to save me, but they can't. Everyone must go. When Cyborg says that he's not gonna leave him behind, Damian says that he never had a choice. He had already programmed his flight path. Saying goodbye to Victor Stone, we see Victor on the outside in space. Our Green Canary asking where the heck is Batman? John overhearing what had just happened. That there is no weapon, it has always been Damian. That he took the life equation, he activated it, and now there is about to be a big bang. Nothing is going to be able to survive what is coming. A universe is about to be born in Damien and Erebus. This will be expanding at the speed of light. That's when John gets on the comms, calling to his best friend. He tells Damien that he won't leave him, but Damien says that it's fine. He is already gone. Even Darkseid goes ahead and gives some praise, saying that this is most impressive. And while they're not really seeking the validation of Darkseid, Damien does tell Oliver that you called all of this from the very beginning. On the day that his father had died, the day that Bruce had passed away, Oliver said Batman is gonna take this virus out. That what Batman does is sacrifice himself for the galaxy, outwitting an evil as old as the stars itself. And that is exactly what is about to happen. As this deity feels this growing inside of him, he knows something is coming. In his confusion, in his anger, we see Ares, the god of war. He pops like a freaking balloon. With Ares being down, they have just moments to escape. And this is where we see Erebus and Damian Wayne having a conversation. He tells Damien that this will also destroy you, and he is also willing to bargain. But Damien is not here to bargain. His father had been taken from him. His brothers had been taken from him. His friends have been hurt. So much has been taken from their world and universe. So when you ask me what it is I want nothing. That you have pissed off Damian Wayne, and there will be no bargain. This will simply be the end. John Kent on the outside, he is unwilling to leave his brother behind. But the Spectre lets it be known that you don't have to. The Spectre can take him to him. He can extract him right before the end. And so the two of them go in. Damien telling John that he can't be here. But the two of them, they wouldn't be anywhere else but right by his side, promising Damien that neither of them are gonna be hurt. They know that they can't save him, but what they can do is sit here by his side till the very end. Damien telling John that if he had told him, John would have never let him do this. And John says that he wouldn't have. But he was right about one thing. Damian Wayne was a great Batman. This is where we have the anti-life equation going full nuclear. We see the deity begin to explode from the outside. Spectre and Jonathan making it out in the last moments. This is the day that Alfred Pennyworth lost another son. Damien was born as an assassin. He was taught to kill. He was taught not to care for life. But he fought against everything he was taught. And at the very end, he saved all life. From time to time, Alfred the Spectre, he goes and visits the cosmos that had been made by Damien, the entire universe that came out of his death. He glides past its suns. He walks over its cooling planets. He had no idea how much a parent could sacrifice for a child. Not until he had his own did he understand what he would give up for them, what he would do if any harm ever came to them, how deeply he could miss them, because they were his bats. They were his sons. They were his whole universe. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Finally bringing our story to a close. The universe has been saved, but it all came at a very heavy cost. Damian Wayne, the Batman, he sacrificed himself for everything. And he did it exactly as his father would have. Not telling Clark, not telling anybody. Just going out there and doing what was necessary to save everybody. He may have been raised as an assassin, but there was more of his father in him than anybody could have ever known. And not only did Damien save everybody of Earth 2, but he also created an entire universe. I think that's one of the most awesome things to come out of all of this, is that from Damien's death, he birthed an entire universe. And so when individuals like Alfred, they may miss Damien, they can go to this cosmos, they can go to this universe, and they can bask in the beauty. The planets, the suns, the asteroids. Every single bit of this is Damien. And it's not every day that you are getting props from freaking Darkseid. I was a little bit concerned that this may not land on the ending, but man, this story was absolutely phenomenal from issue number 1 to issue number 8. DCeased War of the Undead Gods, it just kept on giving. Now don't get me wrong, DCeased Unkillables, all of those were absolutely fantastic. It is such a rarity these days to get a storyline that continues on for so many issues, so many spin-offs. Yet it is still just such a phenomenal story. Amazing storytelling. I've said it 1,000 times, Tom Taylor knocks it out of the freaking park when it comes to these otherworld stories. When it comes to the post-apocalyptic. When it comes to the end of the world. If Tom Taylor is writing that story, you can guarantee that it is going to be phenomenal. The only disappointment from this is that this is the end of the story. There is always the possibility that we're gonna get some more in-between stories. But as it stands, we have gotten a beginning, we have gotten the middle, and now we have finally reached the end. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything that happened with DCeased War of the Undead Gods, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you are unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.